Hi there, I'm Jeff Reeves, the editor of InvestorPlace.com. I'm talking with Dan Wiener, the editor of the Independent Advisor for Vanguard Investors, and Jim Lowell, the editor of Fidelity Investor. Guys, Fidelity and Vanguard are both really big funds out there. They obviously have services to help put investors in the right fund and probably in their own fund family. So what do your newsletters provide? Dan, what does a subscriber of the Independent Advisor get that maybe they wouldn't get when talking on the phone with someone from Vanguard?
Well, I think more important than anything is they get an independent voice from someone who is not paid by Vanguard, has no reason to cheerlead for Vanguard, and is going to give them straightforward ideas about not only where to put their money at Vanguard, but also places to avoid. And I make no bones about criticizing things that Vanguard does that I think are harmful to investors, and also letting people know where the warts are. And there are plenty of warts. Given as high quality a shop as Vanguard is, there are plenty of places where there are warts, things you want to avoid, and I would just say the analysis has to be independent of who's paying who's providing the paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that Vanguard or Fidelity will never tell you is to sell one of their funds. And we spend a lot of our time looking at the funds that we think you should not own, that you should, as Dan said, avoid. But we also spend a lot of time understanding that some managers are certainly much stronger than others. We run very concentrated model portfolios in our newsletters. Fidelity has a group called PASS, Portfolio Analysis Service, which creates funds of funds for individual investors. They might have 25, 30, 40 funds in those packages. Our portfolios are concentrated in 6 to 8 to 10 managers. And we are adept at maneuvering through all of the marketing rhetoric that we see from both firms, and really focusing, as we do, on individual managers that we think will serve our members best.
There's also a corporate ethos at a place like Vanguard. They have this fundamental, obviously, a fundamental belief in indexing. And I've gotten innumerable emails and letters from subscribers who say, you know, I went to Vanguard for some advice and they sold off my best funds, or they told me to sell off my best funds, and now I can't get back into them because they're closed, or, you know, I didn't listen to them because I knew they were wrong. But there's a corporate ethos that says you will be in these particular funds, and that's the way it goes. And they are not picking the funds for building great portfolios that will generate great performance. They're picking funds that they think will be safe.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. They give you a big map of everything in their universe. We give you a GPS system, route guidance to the best investments that we see inside of Fidelity and Vanguard.
I like that. So the map of Fidelity is getting big out there. Vanguard is also large too, but specific to Fidelity, there's been some talk that maybe it'll go public. What's going to happen next with the company? How does that kind of change your investment style for your model portfolios, or what do you see around the corner for Fidelity funds?
Succession planning has always been an issue for Fidelity. It's a privately held company owned by the Johnson family. Ned Johnson is clearly approaching the time where he will step completely aside. Abigail Johnson has been rising through the ranks. She's currently really running that firm. I expect her to run that firm for at least the next decade and run it very well. Fidelity is different from Vanguard in that it's a full services financial service conglomerate. It's a global company with many, many different spokes to its wheel, so it's not just a fund investing shop. And that means that there are many management issues inside of Fidelity that really requires a very clear leadership mandate from the top down. I think they've got that with Abigail. I worry more now about the succession issues on the managers that I like most, because just like me, they've aged a lot in the last 25 years. Sooner or later, they're going to retire. One of the things I like most about Fidelity is that they've got a succession plan not just for management, but also for the individual managers. So take one of my favorites, Joel Tillinghast at Low Price Stock. He's already training 5 potential other managers who are running 5% of his portfolio currently to step into his shoes when 5 or 10 years down the road he retires. That gives me a lot of comfort in investing in Fidelity for the long haul.
Well, and it's also important to note, though, that you've done the research on those individual funds. There's probably some other Fidelity funds out there that maybe don't have the same locked-up succession plans, right?
That's absolutely right. Although if you look at the biggest and the most the most sort of name brand funds there, like Will Danoff at Contra Fund. They are doing their level best to train up the second generation, the next gen. They also have a mentoring program in place where Peter Lynch still will come in and mentor both managers in their first year of running a new fund for them, but also to make sure that they understand that the business of managing a fund is far more than just beating a benchmark. It's really delivering value to your shareholder as a business.
It's very interesting if you think about the way Fidelity is managed, or who the managers are versus Vanguard. Fidelity's top people, Abby Johnson, she managed portfolios. She is a stock picker. She understands investing. The managers of Vanguard are corporate managers. They're guys with MBAs, maybe, and they're running a business. None of them have an investing background.
Well, at least not on the funds that you pick, right?
No, they don't have an investing background at all. They have not managed money for individuals. They are corporate managers.
Everybody thinks in the world that the best performing manager at Fidelity Magellan was Peter Lynch. It was actually Ned Johnson, the owner of the firm, before he gave over the reins to Peter Lynch. Ned understood something inside his own just desire for the business, and that is that he wanted to run a fully fledged company, not just a single fund. So he set about hiring the talent and growing the talent to run funds, while he really delivered on the promise of growing a diversified financial services company.
Dan, Vanguard's had some really successful years in regards to inflows into their funds. Do you think that it's a net positive? Does it create more challenges? If I'm an investor who has Vanguard funds in my portfolio, what does that mean to me? How does that make your job as a fund picker different?
I would say that it's net, it's good for investors if money flows to Vanguard, because ultimately as the complex gets bigger, they can continue to compete on the costs of their funds. Their operating expenses can go down. I don't have a problem with a lot of money flowing into index funds, because that just means that the stock pickers have less money that they have to worry about playing with. And I don't like seeing a great stock picker just get flooded with cash. So let the folks who want buy their index funds. We'll just keep picking. I'll just keep picking a few really top managers that run funds for Vanguard, and we'll outperform the indexes, and that's it. End of story.
Sounds like a plan. Well, thanks, guys. And we'll get to some fun picks in a minute on InvestorPlace.com.